Good morning, students. Yesterday we were discussing about the completely inelastic collision. In the completely inelastic collision, we were calculating loss in kinetic energy. Final kinetic energy minus initial kinetic energy. Final kinetic energy after collision minus initial kinetic energy before collision. So if you calculate, we get loss in kinetic energy half m1 u1 square into bracket 1 minus m1 upon m1 plus m2. It was stopped here. So if you simplify this, we get half m1 u1 square into bracket m1 plus m2 minus m1. m1 plus m2 minus m1, m1 m1 cancels. So you are left with m2 divided by m1 plus m2. On simplification, you are cancelling m1 m1, you are left with m2 upon m1 plus m2. So if you write it, find this step, delta k becomes half m1 m2 divided by m1 plus m2 into u1 square, which is a positive quantity. Means when you take difference in kinetic energy, kf minus ki, this is difference in kinetic energy. This is going to be this half m1 m2 upon m1 plus m2 into u1 square, which is a positive quantity. Means so much of kinetic energy is lost. How it is lost? In what form it is lost? That kinetic energy loss is translated into deformation energy, energy required to destroy, energy required to damage, deformation energy, sound energy, heat energy, and so on. So this loss is manipulated into deformation energy, sound, heat, etc. So this is how we conclude. After this is the loss in energy in completely inelastic collision, loss in kinetic energy. But when you add all these together, total energy is conserved. Law of conservation of energy is valid. Okay. Now the next thing is to conclude about one-dimensional collision. If the particles after collision move along the same line, before collision if they are along the same line, even after the collision if they move along the same straight line, such a collision is called as one-dimensional collision, and it is also called as head-on collision. If for examples there are two spheres, one sphere of mass m1 moving with some u1 velocity collides with a mass m2, which is a sphere at rest, then if they move along the same straight line, then it is a head-on collision. This can happen if and only if the line joining the mass at rest must be along its center, then only we call it as head-on collision. Otherwise, in usual practice, if you observe, the particles or the objects or the spheres after collision, they scatter in different directions. So the spheres will scatter on a plane, so it becomes collision on a plane or collision in two dimensions. Now let us learn collision in two dimensions. Let us study collision in two dimensions. Consider a mass of m1 moving with the speed with velocity u1 vector colliding with mass m2, which is at rest. Mass m2 at rest means its velocity is 0. After collision, the masses are scattered with angle theta 1 and theta 2, as you can see. this is mass m1 moving with velocity v1 after collision, and this is mass m2 moving with velocity vector v2 along this direction with an angle of scattering theta 2. These angle theta 1 and theta 2 are with respect to the x-axis, and here we are considering the motion after collision on a xy plane. So it is an xy plane, and you can see, thus we can conclude that this is a collision in 2 dimensions. Since the particles are moving at different directions on xy plane, therefore it is a collision in 2 dimensions. So if it is collision in 2 dimensions, if it is elastic collision, then as we have studied, momentum is conserved and kinetic energy is also conserved. Kinetic energy is also conserved as well as momentum is conserved. Now we will write collision in 2 dimensions, that is elastic collision. If it is elastic collision, then momentum is conserved. Conservation of momentum. So we will write the equation for conservation of momentum. This is of mass m1 moving with initial velocity u1, and this is second particle of mass m2 at rest. This is at rest. So momentum before collision must be equal to momentum after collision. So momentum before collision, m1 u1 vector. See, I am making use of vector notation because it is a motion in a 2 dimension. m1 u1 vector plus m2 u2 vector. m2 u2 vector becomes 0. Therefore, directly I can write m1 u1 vector is equal to m1 v1 vector. You have to mention vector here because this vector has got both x component as well as y component. So m1 v1 vector plus m2 v2 vector. So this is the equation of conservation of momentum. Now the initial velocity is along x-axis, so it has only x component. It doesn't have any y component or z component. And v1 has x component as well as y component. So if you resolve the components, so this becomes x component of momentum, that is p1 cos theta 1. So this becomes p1 cos theta 1, where p1 is, you can say p1 vector is equal to m1 v1 vector. And if you resolve this component along x-axis, okay, we will finish it first. Y-axis, if you resolve the component along y-axis, draw a perpendicular here. So this becomes p1 sin theta 1, because the angle here is theta 1. So it becomes p1 sin theta 1. So these are the components of momentum vector m1 v1. So you can say this is a momentum vector m1 v1. Similarly, if you resolve this momentum vector p2, which is equal to m2 v2 vector. So if you resolve this, you can see here. So this becomes x component p2 cos theta 2, and if you resolve here, this becomes p2 sin theta 2, but here it is along negative y-axis. Therefore, it becomes minus p2 sin theta 2. Here it is plus p1 sin theta 1, here it is minus p2 sin theta 2. So I can write the x component and y component of momentum. X component of momentum, x component of momentum conservation, x component of momentum conservation. So it has initial component only along x-axis. Therefore, I can write m1 u1 is equal to m1 v1. Okay, x component is m1 v1 cos theta 1. m1 v1 cos theta 1. And that of the second particle is also m2 v2 cos theta 2 in the same direction. It becomes m2 v2 cos theta 2 in the same direction. So this becomes x component of momentum conservation. Similarly, I can write y component of momentum conservation. Y component, you can see here. The initial momentum doesn't have y component at all. It is moving along x-axis. Therefore, the initial y component of momentum is 0. Initial y component of momentum is 0. 0 is equal to, see, y component momentum of the particle m1 is p1 sin theta 1, which is positive. p1 means m1 v1 sin theta 1. Whereas y component of second particle is negative, minus p2 sin theta. Minus p2 means m2 p2 sin theta. So thus we get two equations. You can call this one as equation number 1 and this one as equation number 2. Now similarly we can write equation for conservation of kinetic energy. Since it is an elastic collision, so kinetic energy is conserved. Equation for conservation of kinetic energy. So directly we can write, since kinetic energy is a scalar quantity, there is no question of any consideration of vectors here. So half m1 v1 square. Total initial kinetic energy before collision must be equal to total final kinetic energy after collision. Half m1 v1 square plus half m2 v2 square. So if you take out half common, so it becomes half cancels, m1 u1 square is equal to m1 v1 square plus m2 v2 square. So call this equation number 3. So using this equation number 1, 2, 3, 4, we can find out the values of unknown quantities. If for example, using equations 1, 2 and 3, if m1 m2, if m1 m2 u1 m1 m2 u1 are known quantities, the unknown quantities, what are the remaining unknown quantities? Unknown quantities are v1, v2, theta 1 and theta 2. Unknown quantities v1, v2, theta 1 and theta 2 can be solved, can be determined. Let us solve an example based on this, then the things will be clear. Okay, look at the problem. Consider collision between two billiard balls with equal masses m1 and m2. You must have seen the billiard balls, they are of same masses m1 and m2 equal. The first ball which you are using, usually it is a white ball. The first ball, the white ball, which is used like a striker in carom, it is called cue, C-U-E. While the second ball is called target. The second ball which is stationary, for which you are going to hit with the stick, that is called target. The billiard player wants to sink the target ball. Like carom, you want to sink the carom coin with the help of striker. Here also, the billiard player wants to sink the target ball in a corner socket which is at an angle of 37 degree. Assume that the collision is elastic. Obtain angle theta 1. Friction and rotational motion are ignored. Let me draw the diagram. This is the target and this is Q. target is going to hit the Q. This is x-axis. So you can take this one as positive y-axis and this one as negative y-axis. So he has given the angle theta to the direction of the corner pocket. The direction of the corner pocket is here. Here is the direction of the corner pocket. He wants to sink it. So after striking, the billiard ball moves in this direction at an angle of 37 degree, which is theta 2. Both are of same mass. M1 and M2 are equal. Here M1 is equal to M2, let us say is equal to M. So then what about the first Q? In what direction it goes? Suppose this is the direction it goes. What is this angle? Theta 1. You are asked to find out. So this is elastic collision. The problem appears simple. If it is an elastic collision, masses are, say, the speed with which the billiard ball is striking. Suppose this is moving with speed u1 and this is moving with velocity v1. This is velocity u1, velocity v1 and this is velocity v2. As we have assumed earlier, velocity v1, velocity v2 and this is the diagram. You are asked to find out the value of theta 1. Let us make use of the equations just now we have discussed. Conservation. Equation for conservation of momentum. Equation of conservation of momentum. mu1 equal to, because target is at rest. This is stationary. Target is at rest. Therefore, u2 is 0. So, mu1 is equal to mv1 vector plus mv2 vector. Vector notations. They have both x component as well as y components. So, m being common throughout, you can cancel m. This implies vector u1 is equal to vector v1 plus vector v2. So, you can call this equation number 1. Now write the equation for conservation of kinetic energy. Equation of conservation of kinetic energy. Half m1 u1 square m1 square is equal to half m v1 square plus half m v2 square. So half m throughout being common cancels out. So this implies u1 square is equal to v1 square plus v2 square. Equation becomes simple. v1 square plus v2 square. This is equation number 2. So using equation 1 and equation 2, we can solve for the required quantity, that is angle theta 1, obtain angle theta 1. Let us see how is it. Here, u1 square is here in the equation number 2 and here it is u1 vector. If I take u1 square, then here using equation 1, u1 square is equal to, what is u1? v1 vector plus v2 vector. v1 vector plus v2 vector. Square of this means dot v1 plus v2. You can see u1 vector, u1 square can be written as, see the base for this one I will write here. u1 square is equal to u1 dot u1. u1 dot u1 becomes u1 square into cos 0. Cos 0 is 1. Therefore, it becomes u1 square. So, same equation I have substituted here. Value of u1. Now, expand this. After expanding, u1 square becomes v1 into V1 square, V2 dot V2 square plus V1 dot V2, because dot product is, there is a dot here, dot scalar product, V1 dot V2 plus V1 dot V2. So thus becomes V1 square plus V2 square plus 2V1 dot V2. 2V1 dot V2. Now V1 square plus V2 square is V1 square. If you substitute here, V1 square cancels. So next, we'll write next. Thus V1 square becomes V1 square plus V2 square, V1 square plus V2 square plus 2 times V1 dot V2. V1 dot V2 can be written as V1 V2 into cos the angle between V1 and V2. What is the angle between V1 and V2? If it is theta is equal to theta 1 plus theta 2. Angle between V1 and V2 is theta 1 plus theta 2. Theta 1 plus theta 2. So we already know that from equation number 1, u1 square is equal to u1 plus u2. Using equation 1, we have u1 square is equal to, equation 1 is here itself, u1 square is equal to v1 square plus v2 square. So substitute here. So if you substitute this one, u1 square cancels. Therefore, u1 square becomes equal to v1 square. I can write directly u1 square. In place of this, I can write u1 square plus 2v1 v2 cos theta 1. We don't know what is theta 1. Theta 1 will write as this, but theta 2 is given 37 degree. Theta 2 is 37 degree. So u1 square cancels. u1 square minus u1 square becomes 0. Therefore, 2v1 v2 cos, so cos is missing here. 2v1 v2 cos theta 1 plus 37. Okay, cos theta 1 plus 37 degree equal to 0. So v1 v2 cannot be equal to 0. 2v1 v2 cannot be equal to 0. This implies cos theta 1 plus 37 degree must be equal to 0. For what angle cos is 0? We know for cos 90 we have cos 90 equal to 0. So this implies theta 1 plus 37 must be equal to 90 degree. Therefore, theta 1 plus 37 must be equal to 90 degree. Therefore, theta 1 thus becomes 90 minus 37, that is 53 degree. That is how we calculate. And this problem also gives us one very important information. If there is an elastic collision between two masses, one mass at rest, another mass moving with some speed in the same line, if it is colliding in two dimensions, then after collision the angle between those two masses become 90 degree, provided those masses are of same values. I think you got the point. If two masses are of same value, if there are two bodies of same masses, one stationary, another one moving with some speed, collides, and after collision, if they scatter on a plane, same plane, the angle between the two scattered bodies is 90 degree. So that's how we can conclude. Thus, if it is elastic collision in the two dimensions of two bodies of same mass, one at rest, then after collision they fly off at right angles to each other. They scatter. Fly off means they scatter at right angles to each other. It means total angle between those two scattered masses will be 90 degree. So that's how we conclude this topic. In the next session we will discuss important numerical problems. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.